Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I will be transforming these glass candle holders from Dollar Tree into these beautiful high-end decor pieces. So let's get started. For the first DIY, I'll be using a couple of these long stem glass tea light candle holders from Dollar Tree. They do come in 3 sizes, and I'll be using the medium and large size for this project. I will be painting these, so I want to make sure the glass is clean and free from any dirt or residue, so I wipe it down with some rubbing alcohol, which will help remove any grease or fingerprints. I usually use chalk paint when I'm painting glass, however for this one I'll be using plain black acrylic paint, which will do the job as well. To add some texture and grit to the paint, I mix in some baking soda, which will give the candle holder a unique texture finish. Alright, now it's time to brush the mixture all over the candle holder. I'll be painting a few layers starting with the first one. Now I just want to make sure to cover all areas thoroughly and get a good initial coverage on the entire surface of the candle holder. So after I finish the first layer on the first one, I paint the second one, doing the same thing, brushing on the mixture all over. Before moving on to the second layer, it's crucial that the first layer of paint is completely dry. So to speed up the drying process, you can use a heat tool or a hair dryer. Just make sure the paint is thoroughly dry before proceeding, because applying the second layer on wet paint can cause it to come off. For the second layer, I am switching to a round sponge brush. This brush gives great coverage and coats the glass evenly. Plus, it does add a nice texture to the surface, which will look like cast iron once it's dried. Now let that dry completely. You can finish off with a sealer, and this DIY is done. This next DIY is a continuation of the first. I will be adding a glass candle holder on top. I had a couple of options in mind, but honestly, I couldn't decide which one I liked more. For the first option, I'm going to be using this hobnail style candle holder from Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove the metal ring on top. I didn't care too much for it. It felt quite flimsy. But I guess you can also paint it black if you like. I turned the long stem candle holder over. To glue, I would use E6000, and I placed the clear candle holders on top like so. I really like how this one turned out. And for the second option, I'll be trying out this dark ribbed glass candle holder from Dollar Tree. I really love how simple and the clean design on this one. And here's how they look. They both look stunning, but I think I'm going to go with the first one because I have another plan for this one. For the next DIY, I'm going to show you more additional ways to transform these Dollar Tree candle holders that won't take too much time to do. For this quick one, I'll be using this glass candle holder plate and a couple of these clear tea light glass candle holders. So I take 2 of the tea light holders, turn one over, and you would glue the bottoms together, and then you place a glass plate right on top. And definitely make sure to use a strong glue like super glue or E6000. How adorable is that? Super cute, and you can make this in different heights as well. For the next one, I'll be using this white pillar candle holder from Dollar Tree. And on top, again, I have several choices. Starting with this glass jar, which looks so adorable on top. You can put a votive or tea light candle inside. There's also this nice ribbed glass holder. I really like this one. I love the simple shape and the rib detail. And this last one is my favorite. This is a hurricane candle holder that's about 4.5 inches. You can put a little votive candle inside. Sprinkle some white stones around it. I got the stones at Dollar Tree and it came in a nice pack, or you can also use sand. I love all 3 of them, and you can definitely switch them around or glue them in place. The next DIY is my favorite. I'm going to make a rustic candle holder tray, and I'll be using 6 5-gallon paint stir sticks. These came in a pack of 3 at my local Home Depot, under a couple bucks. I'm going to be trimming them down to about 17.5 inches. I just want to remove the curved handles. And I'm going to be using my miter box and saw to do that. This one is the Stanley clamping miter box, which I highly recommend, especially for small projects like this. On one side of the paint sticks, if you get them from the hardware store, you will notice the white ruler markings. Don't worry, just grab some sandpaper and lightly sand them out or fade them down. For that rustic finish, I'll be using the Driftwood shade from Minwax to stain the wood. Before I glue everything together, I'm going to apply the stain. That way I don't have to worry about the wood not taking in the stain where the glue may have seeped out. I really don't like the way that looks, but you can also sand the joints. And then I do want to avoid applying the stain where I'm going to be adding the glue so that I'll be gluing bare wood to bare wood. And so I just take note of those areas. I'll be using an old paintbrush that has seen better days. You can also use lint-free rags, but you just want to make sure that you don't toss them in a pile when you're done. Oily rags can combust, especially if they're piled up, so please make sure to read the manufacturer's guidelines for proper disposal and always make sure you're in a well-ventilated area wearing adequate safety gear. So once I apply the stain, I wipe down the wood, removing any excess stain that hasn't absorbed. I also make sure to avoid the areas that I'll be applying glue to. Once the stain has dried, I glue the wood together to form my tray. I do this in sections. I start with the base and I glue 3 together side by side. I'm using Tite Bond with glue and I make sure the sides are flush. And I do want to clamp this together for a bit, so I just tightly wrap some painter's tape around it to give it some time to bond together. Once that's dried, I glue on the sides. I make sure the edges are flush, and I also use some 1x2s to help apply pressure while I hold it in place for a bit, and then I glue on the shorter sides. Now there are some areas where there's a little gap, some spaces. This one's not too bad. I could actually just leave it as it is, but of course I'm going to cover it up. So here's a quick hack. To make a matching wood filler, I mix together some sawdust and matching stain. I just lightly dip my wood stick into the stain and I also add a little bit of wood glue and I mix that all up and then I pack that into the spaces or gaps. Okay, we are almost at the end. I wanted to add a little decorative detail on the corners, so I stained 8 tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree, a darker color, and then I glued 2 to each corner like so. I also make sure that the blocks are glued together to form an L. That way it also provides extra strength and support in holding the tray together. I do seal it with polyacrylic from Minwax, and this beautiful rustic tray is done. I decided to place these gorgeous clear glass tea light candle holders from Dollar Tree. The darker candle holders also adds a beautiful contrast to the wood. Now you can also take this to the next level and add some white stones around the candles, and the simple addition will give your space a relaxing and serene atmosphere. For the final DIY, I'll be using 3 of Dollar Tree's taper candle holders. To add some height, I'll be gluing 2 together. So I apply some E6000 on the top rim of one, and then I'll carefully place another candlestick holder on top, aligning the rims together. Once that has completely dried, I'm going to paint with this metallic paint from Anita's in the shade Titanium Gold. I'm using a round sponge brush to apply the paint, and I just dab that on all over, and this is going to add a beautiful texture to the candle holder. After I apply the first layer on the smaller candle holder, I work on the larger one, dabbing the paint all over until it's completely covered. Now I didn't do a primer on these, but you certainly can for a stronger adhesion, but I will be doing a couple layers and then sealing it with a spray sealer. I really love how this is looking. On top, I'm going to be gluing these glass candle holders from Dollar Tree, and these are going to complement the metallic color nicely. I apply some E6000 on the top rim of the taper candle holder, and then I place a dark candle holder on top. I also flip it over to make sure it's centered. For the larger one, I'm going to be applying glue on the bottom of the dark candle holder on that raised part, and then I just place that on top of the stacked candle holders. I let them both dry completely, and this DIY is done. Wow, I really love how this one turned out. It looks very elegant with a little vintage charm. If you enjoyed this video, will you give it a thumbs up? And if you love these types of DIYs, make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell as well so that you don't miss any of my new videos. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye!